What are we going to talk about today?
The movie we just watched, Aquaman.
Hey guys, I'm Hannah.
I'm Justin.
And we are the Grays.
Welcome to our first video on the Gray Rating YouTube channel. We saw Aquaman.
So we haven't necessarily talked in depth about our opinions on Aquaman yet because we want to kind of come into these movie reviews with our real reactions, our real banter that normally occurs in the car right after the movie.
What's going to happen normally with these reviews, we're going to start off by just simply stating what our general opinion is of the movie. And then we're going to break it down into 5 categories. Can you tell them what the categories are?
Story, technical, characters,
performances, and
rewatchability.
And these 5 are based off of our typical responses or our discussions when it comes to watching a movie. These are the 5 categories we tend to talk about the most.
Each of the 5 categories will be on a scale from 1 to 10. Together, that is 50 for me and 50 for him.
With our combined scores, that's how we're going to determine what the score is out of 100.
So let's talk about Aquaman. What was your first initial reaction to the movie?
It's flawed, but fun.
My reaction, unlike his, to Aquaman, was that I loved it. It was so great, and I really just want to go watch it again. I had no idea what the story or the plot was for Aquaman going into it. I mean, I knew it was about Aquaman and like his, what we call this, an origin story, kind of?
Yeah.
It gives us a little bit of background about him, so kind of an origin story. I was pleasantly surprised. I was just rooting for Arthur the whole time through the whole movie. I was super emotionally connected to him and his story and wanting him to defeat the bad guys and come out on the top, so I didn't really care too much for the little side storylines with Black Manta very much. I feel like it was just kind of like, he can get off the screen now. I don't really feel like it advanced this story whatsoever. Maybe in another movie he'll be a bigger deal, but in this one specifically, Black Manta was not the fight to be had. In this movie, there was a whole nother deal going on and he just kind of like got in the way of everything. For the story, I give a rating of 9.
All right. I'm giving story a 7 out of 10. The reason why is because it was a familiar story. It follows the same beats as a lot of superhero origin films, but for a movie as crazy as Aquaman, is probably the best option for them. It was fine, but it wasn't amazing. It didn't blow me away because I knew what was coming.
I mean, we all knew what was gonna happen, kind of. I really did love the way it was filmed. I don't know why I'm like super attracted to the color in movies. I think
I don't say Jason Momoa.
I don't like color in real life, but I love color on screen because it's just very nice to watch, and there were just so many colors to look at in the movie. It was very visually appealing. Jason Momoa. Okay, I'm sorry. The only reason that I gave it a bit of a lower score was mainly just because there were some things that, I don't know, the CG was just kind of funny and I wasn't really buying it. Like, you could just tell that it was overproduced in certain places.
So, I agree with that. To me, everything underwater blew me away. I loved every single underwater sequence. We haven't seen anything like that in live action form.
That's
true. So it was very impressive, and
I mean, I couldn't do it.
And I loved the sound design. The way it's shot was very well done. James Wan, who's the director, shot a lot of wides, and I really liked that because I can tell what was happening, and I can tell he was really going for something unique and different and wanted to put his stamp on a superhero movie. But scenes on the surface did not look that good. I'm talking about the scene in the desert, and then scenes at the lighthouse where it was clearly a green screen with a beautiful digital sunset. Those two like really took me out. But luckily the movie is a lot underwater, and that last act is all underwater, and that last act is just nuts. Technical, I'm giving it a solid 9 out of 10.
I feel like I should change my score. Okay, so I gave it an 8. Okay. for characters, I really loved the background that we got with his parents. I loved being able to see how Arthur came to be and why he is the way he is. I loved Mara. I wasn't expecting to. I really, really enjoyed the fact that she was someone who actually carried the story along and had a very specific purpose, not just a love interest. Is that a spoiler?
No.
The only character I didn't care for, again, was Black Manta. Like, I can't remember his name.
Black Manta.
Whatever. He's a bug.
The best characters in the movie were Mara, which you said, which I agree. She was great. And I loved Atlanta, Nicole Kidman's character, because her central story with her and Arthur's dad, that relationship was my favorite in the whole movie. But outside of that,
What,
familiar.
You didn't like Arthur?
It's familiar. He was good, but I didn't find myself connecting with him in certain scenes.
Yes, but can we talk about that in the characters?
Yes. Well, we're in the characters. What really sinks it is Black Manta. He annoyed the heck out of me. His motivations for wanting to go after Aquaman were just silly. He was just, I want to kill Aquaman. Like, he was just so
very vengeful.
Yeah, but and I kept waiting to understand more about him, and I never did.
My rating was a 9. There was only one character I didn't like. I couldn't give it.
I'm giving characters for Aquaman a solid 7 out of 10.
Ugh, whatever. I mean, I'm not, like, super picky about performance. I thought that they did really well for the most part. The only time I ever get annoyed with performances is if, like, they really sucked. But I didn't feel that with them. I did get emotionally attached to a lot of the characters. I mean, I didn't think it was that bad.
What's your rating? What is it?
I kind of want to change it.
No. Stick with it. Commit.
I don't want to.
No, commit.
You're giving me all these looks.
No, because I'm curious. What is your rating?
I just feel like I was too lenient.
Is it a 10 out of 10?
Yeah.
I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Oh my gosh, why?
This is why Aquaman became our first choice, because I knew we were going to have differences that are really going to showcase our style. The performances.
Don't you dare say awful.
No, there wasn't any true performance that was like, that was the worst I've seen. But almost every character to me outside of Atlanta, King Orm. And possibly, I think, maybe William Dafoe's character.
I don't even know who William Dafoe is. So.
Oh, he's the Green Goblin. But it's Aquaman. And to me, Jason Momoa had good parts, but then there were parts where it was truly cringy for me.
Like what?
The whole desert scene was just not good. The chemistry between him and Mara, Amber Heard's character, wasn't there, and it just came off as extremely hammy, and it was tonally off from what was presented to us in the beginning.
That was a good sentence. I totally agree with you. However, my viewpoint is just, I was engaged in the story. I was engaged in the characters. The performance didn't take me away from anything. I didn't necessarily feel like that roller coaster like Justin over here felt. I don't feel bad about this one at all because I 100% stand by it.
What is it?
A 10.
Okay.
I will rewatch this movie a lot.
I think you'll be happy with my rewatchability score too. Okay. It's an 8.
Okay.
I said in the beginning, it's flawed, but I still had fun with it. It's a superhero B movie. Definitely not the best superhero movie this year.
I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that
either. It is still fun, and I still recognize it being fun, regardless of the flaws. It's going to be a big crowd pleaser. People are going to have a lot of fun with this movie. My score is a 37 out of 50. What is yours?
Mine is a 46 out of 50.
Aquaman, 83 out of 100. Thank you so much for watching our first video. Expect more content from us.
So if you want to see any more content that we're going to be creating, go ahead and subscribe. Also, like it if you like it, because that shows us that you want more content like this and that you are interested in what we have to present you with.
And if you're a family or friend of ours watching this, we better expect to see your name on the subscribe list.
That's true.
And break!